I'm very good at those.
You were very good.
Thank you.
It's nice.
Proud of myself. All right. My name is Renee Lee and Lim.
My name's Rajiv Verma, but really I'm Jeeves.
And I'm Nay. We are first generation Asian Australian creatives.
Trying to be creative and Australian and Asian.
So, this week, because I was Asian.
Great.
Are you congratulating me on being Asian?
Congratulations on being Asian. Every day, yeah. Well done.
So I was driving down the road at the speed limit, not doing anything, not Asian driving.
Yeah, I think that's foreshadowing.
And a car drove past me, a big truck. It had a young guy in it. And to be honest, he just went to go past me until he looked inside the car and saw that I was a young Asian female. And all of a sudden, he just got really angry. It's like my driving went from being normal driving and he was speeding to I'm clearly a bad Asian driver and he has every right to turn around, give me the finger, wind down the window and yell some words at me that I couldn't hear because my window was up.
All I heard was this week, because I was Asian, I was a terrible driver.
I was not!
Are you sure?
I was not a terrible driver.
Is that just a stereotype? Show me one good Asian driver.
Just to be clear.
No, there's
very good driver.
Yeah.
But so I flipped the thing totally and pulled out the other Asian. So like embrace the dragon mum. And at the traffic light, which we just got to, which I knew was a really long one, he was like, had his window down. He was still yelling at me out the thing. And so I got out of my car and I stood up and I just looked at him and I said, I'm sorry, can I help you? And he wound up his window really fast.
So you don't even know why he was flipping you off?
Oh, no, it's because I was an Asian driver.
What if it was something else? Like, what if it was like, sorry, your tail light's out? What if it's just being helpful?
But then he should have said that.
Oh, he was mad. You just could see where he was mad.
He was very mad.
Well.
I don't know what part of this means your tail light is out.
Okay, so.
To be clear. But anyway.
This is the international sign for you're doing a great job. Have a great day. Maybe that's what it was.
Are we been allowed to do that? We're going to beat that out of this podcast video.
Yeah.
Anyway, by the way, because what we were doing was flipping the bird, just in case you can't see that and you can only hear it because this is a podcast.
Yeah.
But my point of that story is, so obviously he was fine and then he drove past and he looked at me and decided, oh, you're Asian. So what is Asian? Does
that even mean? What is Asian?
Yeah. Like we're Asian.
Well. Okay, hang on. Okay, hang on. Here's the thing. I don't think I identify as Asian.
But you are Asian.
I think technically, if you want to get scientific about it, definitively, since my culture is from the continent of Asia, yeah, but not many people call me Asian.
Okay,
Asian.
The entire of the UK would call you Asian.
Yeah,
so but
they wouldn't call you Asian.
No, they call me Oriental.
That seems so racist.
Do you know what Oriental is?
Oriental is the flavour of a Maggi noodles.
Okay, now that is racist.
No, tell me I'm wrong. Isn't there an Oriental flavour noodles?
Chicken beef Oriental.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Which,
good noodles.
I would argue chicken and beef are both Oriental flavours as well.
Have you tried the chicken Maggi?
Yeah, it's quite white.
Very Oriental.
Point is, depending on where you are in the world, I'm Asian.
And I'm Asian.
And you're Asian, but not at the same time.
Well, but yeah, okay. But actually we are both Asian. Because I'm gonna throw something to you.
Yeah.
The idea that Asian is less... I mean, it's definitely about
it's a feeling. Go on.
This is an Asian heart.
Oh.
No, okay. Yeah. So there is the part of Asian that is genetic, i.e. we come from our parents and our grandparents that have genes that are attached to an Asian species.
The Asian gene, sure.
Okay. And then there's Asian in terms of how we look, right? And there's different levels of that. Yeah. And then it comes down to like, how Asian are you, right? If you're part Asian and part Caucasian in terms of your parents, are you only part Asian or are you still Asian? But I'm going to argue the most important part. I think Asian is about your values. That's my thought.
Well, then I don't think I'm Asian.
Yeah, you like to say that. You love to believe like you've thrown all those other values out the window. But how often do you speak to your mother?
Look. The point is,
no. Really.
Every day, I have to speak to her every day.
Right. So for all of you out there, how many of you speak to your mother every day? Definitely not me.
Comment below. Type in a number. It's not my choice. Actually, okay. I guess that does make me.
That's the point.
Asian. Rewind for a second. So, because you said something that was like also how we look as well. Technically speaking, I don't know if you know this, I'm classed, my looks are, or my phenotype.
Very good looking is how you look.
Handsome. Indians have Caucasian features.
Yes.
They're just brown. Indians are just brown white people.
And I guess I want to acknowledge very carefully as well that there is a lot of complex dynamic around persons of colour.
Yeah.
And the impact of having darker skin. And in fact, for some, I mean, for Chinese people, there is a really interesting historical association between being darker skinned or lighter skinned. Like I would be considered darker skinned in Chinese culture, right, as an Asian person.
Really?
Yeah, because a lot of Asians have really fair skin, and for them, the fair skin is a sign of being of a better class.
Even Indian culture as well as you. Is it a case of grass is always greener? Because I always feel like white people want to be our colour.
So that's a whole separate story. But the reason for that is luxury and leisure time. Leisure time for white people is spent outdoors, getting tanned. Leisure time spent
Asian people are like not working out in fields.
And that's it again. So this is where Asian, even though you're from India and I'm from China.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not from China, but our backgrounds, same thing. Very similar lifestyles and cultures. And I feel like that's what makes us Asian, as well as our darker skin.
The thing that makes us Asian is that our cultures want to be the other colour. Okay, so that
some do it very successfully.
That unites us. That's
okay. Let's go to values. Values.
Okay.
Family.
Yeah, high on the list.
Obligation to family.
High
to do what your parents want.
Yeah, super high on the list.
Yep.
Yeah.
As opposed to a lot of my friends who are not Asian are probably more able to, I'm trying to be polite here, do what they want.
Yeah.
And not necessarily.
I've noticed a difference between white cultures and my culture is that my friends have parents who are like, get out of home, hurry up, get your own place. And my parents are like, because now I do live outside of home and have been for a while. My parents are like, when are you coming back to live with us?
Which is quite loving.
Yeah.
Or controlling. I don't know which of the two you've...
Anyway,
I've never had that experience, but...
it's Asian.
It is Asian. It is generally Asian, yes. Yeah. Yes. Which works the flip side, which is when they get older, parents do expect to come and stay at your house. So the nursing home a la Jeeves and nursing home a la Nay.
Which is why I deliberately live in a one-bedroom apartment.
Yes, and I unfortunately do have a nursing home for one.
Yeah. Hey, where does this idea of... Because sometimes people call the Indian culture as subcontinental. Like, we're not Asian, we're subcontinental.
Well, you're below the...
continent of Asia, yeah.
How do you feel about that?
It is weird when you break that word down.
A bit of.
Yeah.
Less
means below the continent of Asia, right?
So surely you'd want to be Asian. And if it's sub, you're still part of Asia.
Because a lot of things are subcontinent. Why isn't it sub-Asian?
Would it be better if you were like intracontinental?
Subcontinent, beneath the continent. So Tasmania is subcontinental to Australia.
I hope no one from Tasmania is listening right now. We're not being...
Oh, Tasmanians have a lot to be pissed off about. See these shapes?
There you go. It's fine.
There's Tasmania. Yeah, where are the Tasmanians?
The chocolate chip is Tasmania. Okay, so when we talk about being Asian in this podcast, what we're saying is it's combinations, right? How we look, because that definitely... I mean, obviously that guy who drove past saw me and went, you're Asian.
Yeah.
And then he reinterpreted all of my behaviours, which is like more the values and the ways we like to be in the world. And for the record, I don't think most Asian people go out of their way to try to be bad drivers. What?
No one goes out of their way.
But then the third part is our history. Like, I'm quite proud that I'm Chinese. Are you proud that you're not Chinese? Like, you're Indian?
I'd be proud to be Chinese. Here's the thing. Of late, this has been on my mind recently. There is a lot on social media at the moment where I haven't been so proud.
Yes. Difference between individuals who come from your cultural background who behave in ways that don't represent what matters.
Yeah, but it's the image, right? Like, anyway, am I proud to be a part of a rich history and culture that, of course, yes, I am, is the short answer. Of late, something to be said, but is it up to me to fix it as well? I don't know.
No, you can't fix the
individual. I will fix it. No. Single-handedly. I'm going to make India great again.
Okay, so when I asked Jeeves to do a podcast, I didn't realise he was going to become a megalomaniac. Okay, the reason I say that is...
Yeah.
Actually, I go, there are lots of things that are difficult about being someone who's got a Chinese background, Asian background, who doesn't live in that all the time, right? There's a lot of things that clash. But deep down inside, I go, from an Asian background, it means that I find myself being very responsible.
Yep.
I find myself being like thoughtful to my elders and respectful.
Yeah.
You know, I find myself always wanting to make sure that I brought something to a party, or I I present myself well. And I think those are good things. I think that's partly why we wanted to have this podcast, because actually being Asian is pretty good.
So there's a lot of good stuff to share that I think people forget.
As much as we love to complain.
You hit on some pretty good points there. And I think there are a few times where I'm like, I'm kind of glad I was raised with this with an Indian upbringing, because I've learned to be respectful, and the idea of gift giving and being a good host, and being respectful, knowing how to talk properly.
That is not necessarily related to being Asian.
No, but I think it's about being respectful and knowing how to address someone and talk with respect and introducing yourself, and just like small things like that my parents taught me, because it was really important.
Double-edged sword, of course, because sometimes we get very big on the hierarchy of society to the point of not actually standing up for ourselves, but that is another topic for another day.
All right, fun. Stay tuned.
Best advice I ever got, well, actually the worst advice, it was the funniest advice I ever got about the fact that I was Asian. Was...
Oh, hang on that, before you get there, you keep saying Asian. Is there a preferred word, like, because you're Chinese?
I'm Chinese Malaysian.
All right.
With some Thai.
Right.
My background.
How important are is it blanket Asian for everyone, or do you prefer to be called Chinese, Malaysian, or Korean? Like, it's all Asian,
well,
right?
I probably don't want to be called Korean.
No, you're not Korean, yeah. I do enjoy calling Sri Lankan people Asian, because they hate it. Because they're subcontinental, if you think about it.
And these are not the values of Asian culture that I am saying are good. So you know.
They're my personal values.
You know, I think that's a really interesting one. So I have got to the point where I now have to call myself Pan-Asian.
What is that? All the Asians.
And this is coming back to the creative thing. So it was funny, it's crossover with the advice thing I got, which was, how do I describe myself as an Asian person in the creative sector?
Right.
Where there's a whole thing going on around how do you identify and, to be accurate in representation and authentic. And my background is very mixed. So I'm Thai, Chinese, and like...
Thai as well? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I probably have a mix of Caucasian as well in all of that. So I'm just very generic. But Pan-Asian means that I can be anyone, which is very useful. But it does sound like a bit of a weird phrase. But it's true, because actually otherwise Asian it covers almost too many... It's like saying I'm European.
Yeah.
Which is... Again, not many people go, oh yes, I'm European. Like, they don't say that.
No one says that.
They go, it's very European is usually what people that come from countries that know nothing about Europe say, because it seems a bit cultured.
Or if you had to describe Melbourne.
Yeah. Well, it's true. Melbourne is very European. So I think Asian is like this idea of there's a, darker skinned, darker haired, I guess. You come from a place that primarily speaks a language that doesn't involve the traditional English alphabet and the rules.
Yeah.
Possibly involve soy sauce in their food cooking.
That seems racist. Actually, is it though? I mean, Asian cooking is...
Southeast Asian. Oh, hey. So, some forms, there are forms out there, they're like, what ethnicity are you? And there's a drop-down menu. Mm-hmm. It's never Indian. It's always East Indian. I don't know if anyone else you haven't noticed that, because you've never had to tick that. Let me know if anyone else has noticed this. It's always East Indian. And I'm like, yes, I'm that one. And this is an interesting thing. Okay, so I'm just going to throw it out there. We're not going to solve this today. As an Asian person, there are things that we have to deal with as a group, but also individually, that nobody else would ever notice. Precisely for that reason. Yeah. I would never even read that to know that then you're grappling with, am I East Indian?
I don't even know what East Indian is.
Not West Indian.
Oh yeah. But East Indian doesn't mean not West Indian, surely. Wait, is West Indian the West Indies?
Oh.
Is that all the way that way?
Oh my God, we might have actually solved something. Well done, Juice.
But then I don't think, do people from the West Indies call themselves West Indian? Oh, of course they would. Of course
we have so much to learn.
If you're from the West Indies, comment below. Let's know how you feel about the East Indies or India. India proper.
Oh.
Well, it is. It was all Christopher Columbus getting shit mixed up. That's why it's called the way it is. Anyway, good or bad advice about being Asian?
Oh yeah, mine was the Pan-Asian one. Call yourself Pan-Asian and then you don't have to worry.
I mean, I'm Pan-Indian.
Which I must admit, that's like the best and the worst advice. It made it very easy because I didn't have to explain. It made it very easy for everyone else because no one else even really, a lot of people don't care. They just go, you're Asian. They don't really want to know the details. But by calling yourself Pan-Asian, they don't feel obliged to ask. But also the worst advice, because it's completely discounting the specifics of my Chinese history experience, and which is purely actually cultural and not genetic, rather than someone else's Asian cultural experience. So it was kind of this weird pro and con thing. Anyway, that was my best and worst advice. What's yours?
I learnt in uni that there was a word floating in my early days of uni. There was a word floating around where people would just call us curries. But all of the Indian students in my class, they were sort of on board, and I hated that. It just felt like, derivative, a bit racist.
And I think it comes back to intention.
Yeah.
Nobody was, I don't know.
But I felt like even the Indian kids were trying to own it. It was like, we're curries. And they were calling it. Now, I'm quite comfortable with brown. Just all of the brown people. And that includes Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka.
Your proper
My
India.
subcontinental brethren. We're brown.
On that note, our frequently Asian question, that was asked is, should Asian history be taught in schools?
Oh, man, do you really want to learn more history is where I'll start with.
And my one would be like, but which Asian?
Oh.
Because then you guys are at school for another 10 years because every Asian is going to want to tell their history.
I could give you a quick rundown on Indian history. Like, first there was a beautiful, rich culture, and then white people came in, and then it became a little bit messy. And now we all British. That's it. That's pretty much it.
On that note, I actually have booked myself in for an extra driving lesson. One of those ones where you do the special speed, the speed lessons where you learn how to drive extra safe. Because even though I don't think I was doing anything wrong,
that guy affected you.
Well, I'm Asian. I'm sorry, but I want to make sure that I'm the best driver there is because I need to be successful and I need to make sure I haven't done anything wrong. So I have booked myself in for the driving lesson. And
what do they give you when you finish the course, like a bumper sticker that says, drive like a white person? So
I know it on the inside. And that's all that matters.
Yeah, but you already knew you were a good driver on the inside beforehand. You are a great driver. I'm going to tell you that. I've seen you drive. I've been in the car with you. She drives a very nice car as well. So, you're a great driver. You don't need... Yeah, that car's pretty dick. Thanks very much for listening. Join us next week when you hear us talk about some more stuff.